Hello and welcome back to the archives of our channel, students of the Force, weary travellers of the galaxy, and skilled mercenaries of the underworld. I have been expecting you. Now, I've seen many rumours and theories and speculations circulating within the Star Wars community recently about Cad Bane. Cad Bane obviously being the most famous Derosian bounty hunter, and probably the most famous bounty hunter besides the likes of Boba Fett, and maybe Jango Fett if people don't watch the animated shows. And if you don't watch the animated shows and haven't watched the Clone Wars, then click off and never watch this video again. Actually, no, I'm joking. Go watch the Clone Wars, then come back and watch this video, or watch this video if you don't want to watch the Clone Wars. Either one is acceptable. Now, Cad Bane's resurgence during the events of the Book of Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett being one of the most recent Star Wars media and adventures that Disney Plus has embarked on, incorporating an incredible CGI, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill from just after Return of the Jedi, 5 years to be exact, as well as Ahsoka Tano, the overrated, albeit fan-favourite character, and practically these days the entire face of Star Wars lore. Now, during the events of the Book of Boba Fett, we obviously have Cad Bane's death, and if you've seen that video, I personally do not believe that Cad Bane is dead. I believe that Dave Filoni is just deceiving us, and I believe that Cad Bane will return in a later Star Wars show. The main reason I wanted to address this is actually leading into the topic of today's video, which I find to be very, very, very interesting, and it's why Cad Bane's appearance and attire was so altered during the events of Book of Boba Fett. If we see in the events of the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, which just takes place not even a year after the events of the Clone Wars, we can see that Cad Bane has his sapphire skin that's a very dark coloured blue, his fiery eyes that have no pupils, blinking back at us, and then we can also see that Cad Bane seems to be in a much better condition. But during the event of the Book of Boba Fett, like I said, I love the show, we see Cad Bane, a more washed up version of Cad Bane. Now, this version of Cad Bane, I believe, will be more skilled than the version and more experienced than the version we see in the Bad Batch and the Clone Wars. Despite me believing that the version in the Clone Wars, despite being in his 50s, which was the age of Cad Bane, and if you didn't know his species, the Duros, being a Durosian bounty hunter, typically lives to the age of 70, like that of a normal human, except a bit less. So Cad Bane, during this time, is extremely old. This is like a 70 or possibly even older year old human. We have been given confirmation that Cad Bane's species, the Duros, ages almost identically to that of human. So whenever you see a human's age, you essentially see Cad Bane's age. Not like beings such as the Hutts or Yoda species, which can live for many centuries and possibly even a millennia. In Mama's case, Mama the Hutt from the Clone Wars, go and watch that episode, it's very interesting. We see Cad Bane look more washed up. The colour has partially drained from his flesh. Predominantly on his face, he appears to have a lot less blue, and mainly consists of a very light, either very light grey or very, very light blue. Although I do believe that his colour still has some merit and is still partially blue. However, there is unquestionable evidence that Cad Bane does look different. However, he still seems to retain all his typical weaponry, such as his E11 blaster pistols, his long coat, his wide-brimmed iconic hat, and his 2 metallic breathing tubes that prevent him from being force choked. However, there are wrinkles that are getting etched upon his eyes. This means that Cad Bane is extremely old. He's about 70 years old at this point, and that's incredible to still be hunting bounties. And as we can see in the Book of Boba Fett, he was able to take on Boba Fett. He almost killed Boba Fett, despite Boba Fett being 41, 30 years younger than Cad Bane is at the time, with Cad Bane being 71, born in the year 62 ABY, 62 years before the Battle of Yavin, and dying, well, what we presume to be death, as I have already covered. I don't believe Cad Bane is dead, in the year 9 ABY. Now, the main boiling point of this entire video, which is why Cad Bane looks different, and I personally just believe it's age. Or it also could be just adapting a animation character into a live action format. Could just be that, but I personally think it's age. As I said, Cad Bane's species only lives up to roughly 70 years, the same as a human. And Cad Bane is now, well, what we presume to be 71 years old if his death is noted in 9 ABY, and that is actually when he died, which I'd be quite disappointed if he did, if I'm honest. But yeah, that's the main reason why Cad Bane looks so different. It could just boil down to turning an animation character, one of the best animation characters in all of cinema from the Clone Wars TV show, into a live action TV show. But I personally think it's age. I think Cad Bane will serve a role similar to that and akin to that of Clint Eastwood. A washed out gun for hire, but still has a few good fights left in him. And I'm sure Cad Bane, even though Boba Fett, as we have seen during his prime, he stated in the Bacta tank that he is in his prime. The Bacta had fully healed his wounds. I do believe that Cad Bane will return. I strongly impose this theory. However, it could be wrong, but I don't think Dave Filoni would kill off Cad Bane just for the point of killing him off. He gave him the lamest death in 2 seconds, but if he did, well, that's the way Star Wars works. But yeah, I don't believe that Cad Bane is dead. But yep, that's why Cad Bane looks so different in the Book of Boba Fett. I theorized, speculated, and I hypothesized for hours on end about this, of why Cad Bane could be like this old. And then I did some research, unveiled more holocrons, and discovered Cad Bane was exceeding the lifespan of his species. And while I know it would be tremendous fan service to get Cad Bane back in the business, maybe back in Book of Boba Fett Season 2, I doubt that Dave Filoni will do it, or Kathleen Kennedy. I think Dave Filoni wants to do it, but I doubt that Kathleen Kennedy would let him. And yeah, that's the main reason. Personally, I think it's just age. Cad Bane's very old, but he's still immensely skilled. As we saw in the Book of Boba Fett finale, he was nearly able to kill Boba Fett, one of the most skilled mercenaries and guns for hire in the entire galaxy, who, by the way, was 30 years younger than him. 3 entire decades, and Cad Bane also taught him. So, yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed the daily Star Wars lore that we are uploading. I'm sure that you love Cad Bane. If you have decided and deducted this video would be a good one to watch, I hope that you enjoy this video. Be sure to strike down the subscribe button if you wish to ascend to the rank of Master. With that out of the way, Acolytes, I bid you farewell, and I hope that I will not have you on the receiving end of my blaster pistol today.